Hey everybody, it's Romania Black. I can't believe we've ended Violet Evergarden, the series, and now we have the movies. And we have two movies! And here's the crazy thing. This first movie came out in 2019, and it's an hour and 30 minutes long, which is what I expected. I was like, okay, feature-length film, that's 90 minutes, that makes total sense. The second movie that I'm gonna watch next week is 2 hours and 20 minutes long. Oh my God. That's gonna be like the longest thing I've ever watched in a single sitting. That's insane. I'm okay with it, but that's crazy. So yeah, I'm so floored. But yeah, I'm really excited to watch these films. I've been trying to go over exactly when I'm gonna do the live stream for Violet Evergarden, and I want to say that I'm gonna do the live stream on Veterans Day, which is November 11th in the US. Veterans Day is November 11th. It seems appropriate, right? Because Violet's a veteran. So it seems appropriate that we do a live stream on Veterans Day for it. So I'll have more info about that out on Patreon, and I'll have more info out in the community post about when that live stream will be. It'll probably be in the morning on Veterans Day because I'll have the day off of work. I'll be able to be here in the morning. I know for some of you that are overseas watching that aren't in the States, y'all, if I do nightly live streams, it's like 3 a.m. where you're at. So I may do just like a morning live stream for a couple hours and we can talk about the series. And it'll be, even though the second movie won't have come out yet, it'll still be there. So in any case, I'm really, really excited for this movie. I don't know what to expect because the last episode, the season finale, the series finale, it ended in a way that was conclusive. It seemed like it was had resolution and it was a series finale, but at the same time, it felt like something was missing, right? It just felt like a piece of the puzzle hadn't fallen into place. And I don't know if that was intentional or if they knew that they're going to do these two movies or what the case was, but it just felt like something was missing. So I'm really excited to actually be able to go back and watch these films now. And so it is actually, we had a warm front hit today, so I am like sweating. It's so warm today, which usually it's freezing, so it's kind of odd. But yeah, I'm really excited for this film. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to expect for either film, honestly. I've stayed away from spoilers, so that's been exciting. But with that being the case, we are going to start old Violet Evergarden, the movie. It's called Eternity and the Auto Memory Doll. I'm trying to see here, so it's well, I've got it ready for it to start, so it won't. But I think it's Eternity and the Auto Memory Doll. I have no clue what it's about. I haven't read the descriptions or anything. I just popped it up on Netflix and I was like, let's do this. And then the second film's on Netflix too. But yeah, I don't know what to expect. But it's an hour and a half, y'all. So hunker down. I'm pretty excited. But yeah, so let's see what all we are getting into, shall we? We are going to start Violet Evergarden, the movie number 1, here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Oh, that was really, really good. It felt like two OVAs is what it really felt like. It felt like you had the first half, which was basically Ouran High School Host Club Lobelia Academy, but with Violet Evergarden. You had that with her and Isabella or Amy. I'm torn whether I want to call her Amy or Isabella because I want to call her Amy, but then she said she was Isabella. So it's like, either way, you have her with Amy, Isabella, and then you have the second half, which is all about Taylor's side of the story, so I like that you have these two sisters and how Violet helps both of them. And Benedict too! I'm so glad we got Benedict focus in this. He's been one of those characters that the whole series I've been wanting to see more Benedict, and I kept thinking we were going to see more of him, and he was just kind of relegated to as a side character. But no! He takes front center stage in this. Dude, with them heels with the frills on the end, I'm like, Benedict, our fashion forward man. And then the shirt with the lace up back, I'm like, dude, you are bold, sir. Very bold. But like and his voice actor, I love Benedict's voice actor because it's basically, it's the same voice actor as Shigaraki from My Hero Academia. But more importantly, I think Benedict sounds more like Tsukishima from Haikyuu. And so his voice kind of has that like softier, like quality to it. And at the very end, when they're reading the letter and he starts to get teared up and he says peas in a pod, the voice actor, his voice breaking on peas in a pod, couldn't do it. Nah. But I love that we can focus on him in this. And just the idea of the mail carrier, and that it's not just important to write the letter, but it's important to deliver it as well. And Violet's had that share with that with Roland, and delivering the mail and seeing the effect it can have. So I really like that. But so this takes place 4 years at first. It takes place around the side with Amy Isabella takes place around within a year of the events of the series finale, within a year. And then 3 years later, or 4 years later, it takes place. It said 4 years have passed since the war. So 3 years after the events of the first half is when Taylor's story happens. So by the end of the movie, if we went with the logic, I know that's been a debated topic in the comments of how old Violet actually is, because in the series, they think that she's 14, but we don't know for sure. A lot of you have pointed out, you're like, well, she could have been malnourished. The age might be off a couple years. We don't know. We don't think she's any younger than 14 in the series, but she could be 15 or 16, and we're just not sure. So at least by the end of this movie, Violet is between the ages, presumably, of 18 and 20. Around that time. Yeah. But this movie was so cute. Keone, I mean, it's, sometimes when they have a movie made for a series, the quality bumps up. This is consistent. It's still Keone, so it's still the same quality you'd expect from the series. It's just in movie format, so which is great because it didn't look any different. It felt literally like two OVAs that were connected together to make this. So I'm very curious. We have the next film next week that's an hour longer than this, 50 minutes longer than this. So I'm like, is it going to be like 3 OVAs put together, or is it going to be like, it's supposed to be the end of the series though. So, I mean, essentially, the next movie's half a series, like 6 episodes in one. So you could have like a whole giant arc in the next movie, and it could be to round out the end of the series, right? I kept thinking that Catalina was pregnant in this. And I don't know why. I think because the clothes she was wearing were a little bit bulkier, like it was hiding something, like she was hiding the fact that she was pregnant. So I don't know. But the reason I think that is at the very end, Hodgins was writing a letter to his future daughter, telling her about the future. And so I was like, oh, are Hodgins... And I've always kind of shipped... It's been hard because I've kind of shipped Catalina and Hodgins together, thinking that they would be endgame. But you also see some chemistry between Benedict and Catalina too. But Benedict, he's too much to handle. I really hope that one day Benedict does take over the auto memory doll. He works his way up from mail deliverer to taking over the company from Hodgins, and then Taylor gets to be the mail carrier that takes the letter to her sister and gets to meet her in person. I was really sad. I wanted them to meet in person. I really did. And I get it. I get why Taylor didn't want to do it, because that'd be almost too much. And then she wanted to see Amy Isabella and like see her sister, but it would almost be too much to do the letter and see her in person, because I mean the whole point of the letter is that when you can't physically see them, the letter is to suffice, right? And so she just got to go along and see her reaction, right? Because she wanted to see him bring happiness, and they were tears of joy, but so cute. Taylor, oh my gosh, the voice actor making her voice as cutesy as possible. And I like the parallels of Violet and Taylor, like they're both orphans. They both had another person take care of them and love them like a family. So just like Amy Isabella took care of Taylor, Gilbert took care of Violet. So there's that connection. They both have the stuffed animals. Violet has the dog. Taylor has the stuffed bear. I mean, the dog has a different symbolism than the bear, because I think isn't Dietfried. Someone pointed out it's Dietfried is how you pronounce the brother's name. And I was like, I'm going to get it right at least once, maybe. But I thought the dog was given to her from Dietfried, so maybe not. I don't know. Netflix says Die Hard, Diethard, so I'm like, what do I do with this? But yeah, so very curious. I really liked it. I really liked the movie and how it tied everything together. When it ended like right at 40 minutes, the first part, I was like, what are we going to do for the second half? But it was the other side of the coin, the other side of the story. But yeah, that first part, man, I tell you what, which you know what? We didn't see who the aristocrat that old Isabella married off to. Be funny if it was Ashley. I thought that's kind of where they were going at the end of this, because old Amy Isabella, I'm like, she had a major crush on Violet. I mean, it's friendship, but like, I don't know. When she said bathe with me, I'm like, friends, do they really bathe together? None of my friends and I have really bathed together. So I don't know. And then like obviously the sharing the bed together was tying back to her sister and that feeling of comfort and needing that friendship and that relationship is what she was trying to mirror. So I get that, but the whole bath scene, I was like, I don't really know friends bathe together, but okay. And then I'm sorry, but the whole debutante ball, I was like, Hodgins or Benedict picked out that outfit for Violet. And I was like, very fashion forward. It felt like if you've ever watched the show Downton Abbey. In Downton Abbey, Sybil, she was my favorite character on that show. Sybil had like the high-waisted pants. And that was like the fashion forward 1920s. Like everybody was like, oh, a woman wearing pants. And it was very fashion forward. And she was like, yes. Which this world doesn't really seem to have like that same mentality towards women wearing like pants as American early 1920s fashion was, but still had that same vibe. But it totally made Violet look like the groom and made Isabella Amy look like the bride. So I was like, it's not lost on me. I was like, okay, sure, okay. But I'm glad at the end. I don't know why the Ashley girl kept waiting for Violet to leave before she befriended Isabella, unless it was because Violet was like, I'm here to do a job. I'm here to help you. We got to focus on this job. And she had to wait until she left. But I kind of wish that Amy's character or that Ashley's character had interacted with Amy more from the beginning. Because I'll be honest, at the beginning, I thought that Ashley girl was being set up as a mean girl. I thought she was Regina George. I thought she was going to say something really off-putting and be mean and say like, oh, well, you're just here because you're going to get married off to a rich man, and was going to be a bad character. And then she ended up not being. She ended up being a friend. And I was like, I kind of wish you'd try to be her friend earlier. But I guess because Violet had a job to do, she felt like she didn't want to impose, So maybe that's the case. But it was really, really cute. There were so many like really cute moments. And I was like, I see what you're doing, show. I see. I'm on board with it. It was really cute and funny. But yeah, I didn't cry in this movie. It didn't get my tear ducts going. It was more like, it wasn't a cry-worthy movie. It was more like my heart swelling with how adorable it was. Like how cute everything was. And it was so sweet and wholesome. And getting Benedict involved. And at first he didn't want to. And so you have him like, and that's Benedict's whole thing. The second half was really Benedict's story of how Violet's really affected him too through Taylor. Because at the very beginning we have the old lady and he's like, she asks all the time about this tower and I always have to tell her and my job's boring and it's the same every day and blah blah blah, and I have this rickety old bike. And by the end of the story he has the new bike, which looks awesome, but then he also stops at the old lady and he tells her what's going on and he talks to her and has a conversation. And you can see that character growth of Benedict from the start to the end of the movie, and it's so sweet and satisfying to see his character come from being kind of apathetic and burnt out with his job to realizing the impact that those letters have and thinking, oh yeah, just like Taylor and Isabel had that happiness brought to them, I do have a job and what I do is kind of important. So I really liked that. I thought that was so sweet. But yeah, it was such a cool movie. I like that we have the confirmation that we're in the future. So I'm wondering if the second film is going to pick up from here, and kind of go forward 4 years into the future. I'm assuming it is. But I really, as far as predictions for the second movie, if it's ending the series, because this is going to be the series ender, I want there to be something. I want to have like all the characters involved. Catalia, Erica. Iris looked really good with her hair grown out. I really liked Iris with her hair grown out. I want them all involved, and Benedict. And we got to see Luculia, and it looks like she got a man. We got to see him. I want to see Leon if we could in the season finale, even if it's just like in passing glance, like seeing what he's doing out in the world. But I want Dietfried. I want more Dietfried. In episode 12 and 13, I loved that because again, this is tying back to the whole idea of family and those relationships being so important. And then I love that the Evergarden family adopted Taylor. I love that. And so I kind of want Dietfried and Violet to have one more conversation because it kind of just left off, and maybe they won't. I'm like, they probably won't, but I just want more conversations with them because if Gilbert's dead, then I feel like Violet can connect with Dietfried and make that connection that she doesn't have with anybody else. because they were talking about goals. They left this unanswered. They didn't answer this. And so I'm curious if the next movie is going to answer the question, because we had Isabel, not Isabel, when they were trying to figure out like her address and everything. And then they met Luculia having like a boyfriend, it seems. And so Iris made the comment that, well, if she gets married, or Erica made the comment. Erica said, well, if she gets married, she can't be an auto memory doll anymore. And it ties back to the beginning of the series. I totally forgot this. That the beginning of the series, a lot of these girls become auto memory dolls because they want to find a rich guy to marry. And so this is a way for them to meet guys by writing the letters. So I forgot that at the beginning of this whole show, a lot of these women were trying to just meet rich guys that they could, meet through the letter writing service and then marry off. So Erica makes the comment, well, if she's going to marry this guy, she won't need to be a memory doll anymore. But Iris, being super progressive, is like, nah, she can still be a memory doll, even if she's married. She just won't have clientele trying to ask her to marry them. So I like that there's that progression. And Iris basically suggesting, she's like, I could totally get married and still be the top memory doll. Like, sky's the limit, right? And then Erica saying that she wants to be a novelist, that she submitted a short story for publication. She wants to write novels. That's really cool. And then they ask Violet what she wants to do, and Violet doesn't have an answer. And that's what I'm thinking the next film, since it's the final film and it's rounding out the series. Because, yeah, what is Violet going to do? If Gilbert's dead, is she going to move on? Is she going to try to find, like, a place in her heart for somebody else? I mean, I would ship her with Leon if Gilbert wasn't around. If you had to find happiness somehow, because Leon had a crush on her. But I don't know. It's like, what will Violet do? If she can't be with Gilbert, what is her dream then? Is it just going to work for the memory dolls, as a career and that's it? Or is there something more? So I have a feeling that the movie's going to answer that question for us, or it should. And it's got 2.5 hours to do it. So we just got to wait it out and see. But yeah, I definitely eventually want to read the light novels. I had in my mind, these honestly, the end of this series snuck up on me. I thought I had more time and I was like, oh my God, we're getting ready to end Violet Evergarden. Not ready. So I eventually want to read the light novels. I don't think I'll be able to get to it before next week. Obviously, because there's like 3.5 light novels, right? There's like 3 light novels and a Gaiden in between in there. There's like 4 novels to read. But I eventually do want to, and I think if I do eventually get to reading the light novels, if there's like an English translation out there, if anybody has an English translation, feel free to share. But if it is out there, I would eventually like to read it and maybe do like a follow-up, like a soapbox follow-up. It wouldn't have to be a long soapbox, but just to follow up the novels and just talk about them a little bit. That would be fun if I could eventually do that down the road. But I'm curious if this final film is going to end with where the light novels end. I'm very curious about that. I eventually do want to read them, even if they're just for fun and talking about them on Twitter or in the Discord or something. Even if that's the case, I would like to do that eventually. But yeah, this movie was so cute and wholesome and sweet. And it was a nice comfort after, episodes 12 and 13 weren't necessarily really sad. Episodes 7 through 11 were horrifically sad. So I feel like after that and the tension of episodes 12 and 13, this movie was a nice, okay. Like a nice comfort. It kind of felt more aligned with, I feel like Violet Evergarden are 2 separate series. You have episodes 1 through 6, and then you have episodes 7 through 13. Episodes 1 through 6, this movie felt more like those. It was like really wholesome and sweet and kind and just absolutely just a comfort show to watch. And then episodes 7 through 13 were like cathartic, emotional roller coaster. So if that's the case, and movie 1 is more in line with the first part of the series, I'm like, is movie 2 gonna be more in line with the second part? I ain't sure I'm ready for that. So, but I don't know. I guess we'll see, right? But I feel like they're saving us to figure out Violet's goals in the second half of the movie, or that at least the second movie is going to address them, right? And see what she's doing. So I hope it does. I don't like the fact that it ended without her answer. So even if it's like even if she had said, I don't know, that still would have been an answer. And we didn't even get that in this. She just got kind of cut off. So I'm thinking that they're just saving that for the next one. But we shall see. So yeah, I'm very curious to know your thoughts about this first movie down below. This was really cute and wholesome. I loved it. I'm so glad I didn't have to cry. But the next movie's the last movie, so I have a feeling might be a different story. Might be a different story. This definitely got me in the emotional feels. It just wasn't a sob story. I thought when they were doing the sister angle, for a second I thought that little girl was going to get hit by the bus. And I was like, we're about to take a dark turn that I'm not ready for. And luckily we didn't get that. So I'm looking at my schedule and I'm thinking that November 11th, this movie will have just came out on YouTube. And then the second movie will have just came out on Patreon. So y'all will have to wait an extra week before you see the second movie, but we can still talk about it in the discussion. It'll just be like a spoiler thing at the end if you haven't seen the second movie. But it's on Netflix now, so you can see it if you want to before then. But I think that's what I'm going to do. I think we'll do the live stream chat on Veterans Day on November 11th, and I'll figure out the time and everything and put it on Patreon and put it on the community post on YouTube. But I'm thinking that's going to be the case, because that way it's fitting for Violet Evergarden. We can talk about the characters, we can rank the episodes, we can do a character tier. It'll be a lot of fun. We'll have a lot of fun with it. But yeah, I think that'll be good. So I'm curious to know your thoughts down below. I hope y'all enjoyed the reaction. Please let me know what you thought of the film. Don't spoil me on the second movie though. No spoilers for movie 2. I'm gonna have to wait on that one. But in the meantime, I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and I'll be back next week with the second and final movie for Violet Evergarden. Bye.